Who are you without your worst day? If someone handed you a device that could erase your most painful memories, would you use it? Gravity Falls asks this question in one of its most emotionally complex episodes, and the answer might surprise you. The episode opens with Mabel receiving devastating news.
What if he wants to get back together?
I wouldn't get your hopes up, Mabel.
A letter from Mermando, her merman boyfriend from earlier in the summer, explains that he has to marry someone else for political reasons.
I'm getting married!
Another summer romance over before it truly began.
I wish I could just forget about them forever.
For most people, this might sting for a day or two, but Mabel has been collecting these rejections all summer long. She sits with her scrapbook open, pages filled with photos and mementos from every failed crush, every unrequited feeling, every moment she put herself out there and got hurt for it. Each one individually might be forgotten, but together they form a pattern that's starting to weigh on her. Mabel represents something we all recognize, the person who loves openly and gets hurt for it. The one who keeps trying even after repeated disappointment. And right now, she's tired. Tired of feeling this way, tired of being the girl whose heart breaks every few weeks. This emotional state becomes crucial later because it makes her vulnerable to a very specific temptation. Meanwhile, Dipper is following his own thread.
Hey, if it's any consolation, my summer mission isn't a huge success either. I'm still trying to find the author of this journal.
He's investigating Old Man McGucket, trying to understand the connection between the town's strangest resident through some insignia reading McGucket Labs and the mysterious author of the journals.
McGucket Labs? Wait, Old Man McGucket?
When they show him the blind eye in the journal, he panics a little bit and talks about everything quite vaguely.
Robes! The man! My mind!
But he doesn't remember exactly what happens, so they investigate. A newspaper headline leads them to Gravity Falls Museum of History, where they witness hooded figures performing an extraordinary ritual on Lazy Susan.
Lazy Susan?
She's screaming about seeing little men in the forest. Oh yeah, there were gnomes earlier in the episode. But then a strange device flashes, and suddenly she has no memory of the supernatural encounter.
My mind is clear, thanks to the Society of the Blind Eye.
This is our introduction to the Society of the Blind Eye and their memory gun, a device that can selectively remove specific memories from people's minds. There's something unsettling, but also, peaceful about the scene. Ritual-like atmosphere, the way the Society members speak about protecting memories, the casual manner in which they decide what other people should and shouldn't remember.
Now the people of Gravity Falls go about their lives ignorant and happy, thanks to us.
The gang follows the path of Susan's erased memory to discover something that changes everything. The Hall of Forgotten Memories. Shelves upon shelves of glowing memory tubes, each containing someone's erased experiences. The Society has been doing this for years. It started with systematically removing supernatural encounters from the townspeople's minds, but later turns to also just erasing any memory that they had trouble with themselves.
Don't you feel bad about that?
Maybe a little. But not anymore.
This is when the episode's central question crystallizes. Mabel wanted to use their memory gun so that she could erase every heartbreak she's ever experienced. She could open her scrapbook and see blank pages instead of painful memories. Never again would she have to remember the sting of rejection or the weight of disappointment. Who wouldn't want to erase their pain? It's the exact philosophy of Blind Ivan, the leader of the cult. He believes he's performing a public service. Why should people suffer with memories of terrifying supernatural encounters? Why should they live in fear when they could live in peaceful ignorance?
We took it upon ourselves to help the troubled townsfolk by erasing the memories of the strange things they've seen.
The Society sees themselves as protectors, shielding the community from truths too difficult to bear. It sounds almost reasonable until you see the result. A town full of people who can't learn from their experiences because they don't remember having them. Citizens who encounter the same supernatural threats over and over, never developing the knowledge or skills to protect themselves because their memories get wiped each time. The Society's philosophy represents something deeper than just memory erasure. The episode's most devastating revelation comes when they discover McGucket's true history.
All right, McGucket, are you ready to see your memories? Find out who you really are?
Through recovered video logs, we learn that 30 years ago, Fiddleford McGucket was a genius inventor together with a research partner.
My name is Fiddleford Hadron McGucket, and I wish to unsee what I have seen.
Sweet sarsaparilla!
When their experiments went wrong and McGucket witnessed something that shattered his understanding of the world, he couldn't cope. So he invented the memory gun, originally just to forget that one traumatic encounter.
It worked! I can't recall a thing!
The video logs show McGucket's gradual deterioration over time, though. Each time he faced something difficult, he used the memory gun to wipe it away. But each erasure took something else away.
My hair's been falling out, so I got this hat from a scarecrow. Hey, are my pants on backwards?
His speech became less coherent, his memories more fragmented, his sense of self more confused. We watch a brilliant scientist transform into the rambling hermit the town knows today, losing pieces of himself with each use of his own invention. Without those difficult and sometimes scary and painful experiences to guide him, he kept making the same choices over and over again, trapped in the same cycles that he couldn't remember creating. The most tragic irony, McGucket founded the Society of the Blind Eye himself.
I call it the Society of the Blind Eye. We will help those who want to forget by erasing their bad memories.
Convinced that he was helping the others avoid the kind of trauma that had damaged him. But what he really created was an organization dedicated to making other people as lost as he'd made himself. When McGucket's memories are somewhat restored after watching the tapes, something unexpected happens. Yes, he has to face 30 years worth of trauma, guilt, and regret all at once, and the pain is pretty overwhelming. But alongside the difficult memories come others. Memories of who he used to be. Someone who cared deeply about the people around him, even when that caring led to mistakes. He remembers having an identity beyond his fear and confusion. Standing in the aftermath of recovered memories, McGucket makes a choice that surprises everyone. He's grateful. Not for the trauma itself, but for the chance to finally face it as himself rather than as the shell of a person he'd become. This moment reframes everything. McGucket shows us that while painful memories hurt, losing them hurts worse. Without his difficult experiences, he couldn't learn, couldn't grow, couldn't even maintain relationships because he kept forgetting why they mattered. He lost himself. This brings us back to Mabel, still offered the memory gun, tempted to erase her romantic disappointments. She watches McGucket choose his painful memories over comfortable emptiness. She sees what erasure actually costs, the growth that comes from surviving disappointment, the empathy developed through personal experience with heartbreak, the resilience built by getting back up after falling down. Mabel realizes that her failed romances shaped her. Each disappointment taught her something about what she was looking for and who she is. Each heartbreak made her more compassionate towards friends going through similar pain. Her romantic optimism, maintained despite repeated disappointment, has become one of her defining characteristics. More importantly, she recognizes that her painful experiences haven't made her bitter, they've made her kinder. She understands heartbreak in a way that helps her connect with others. She knows what it's like to hope and be disappointed, which makes her more patient with people going through similar struggles. When Wendy asks the crucial question,
"So, Mabel, do you still want to erase those failed summer romances?"
Mabel has learned. She doesn't like the bad memories, but maybe they're better to remember than going into crazy denial about them. That's what makes her choice significant. She's choosing to keep them because they're part of the story of who she's become. McGucket's recovery emphasizes this. When his memories return, he doesn't magically become happy. He's still dealing with decades of trauma and regret, but he can finally start making different choices because he remembers what led to the old ones.
After all these years, I finally know who I am. Maybe I messed up in the past, but now that I've seen what happened, I can begin to put myself together again.
This episode marked a turning point for him as well, but it also tapped into something universal outside of Gravity Falls. We all have memories we'd rather forget. The memory gun represents our constant temptation to take shortcuts or avoid the difficult emotions. Delete the awkward conversation, forget the failed relationship, erase the moment of weakness, don't confront anything. But these shortcuts come at a cost. They prevent us from becoming the people our experiences are trying to teach us to be. Maybe we don't have literal memory guns, but we have other forms of forgetting. We avoid situations that remind us of past failures. We distract ourselves from uncomfortable emotions with whatever's available: work, entertainment, substances, anything to avoid sitting with the pain. Some people move to new cities to escape reminders of relationships that went wrong. Others delete photos, throw away gifts, or cut contact with entire friend groups just to avoid confronting what they went through. We can't heal from wounds we won't acknowledge, or learn from mistakes we refuse to remember and face. Think about the people you know who seem to repeat the same relationship patterns over and over again. We probably all know at least one person in our lives that just seems to go from one relationship directly into another because they're incapable of being alone and facing what causes them to jump relationships again and again in the first place. A pattern like this persists precisely because the person hasn't fully processed what went wrong before. They need to grow on their own to finally be able to have this fulfilling relationship. The episode suggests that while these strategies might provide temporary relief, they ultimately keep us stuck. Memories are the foundation of everything we know about ourselves and the world. Your most embarrassing moments probably taught you something about social boundaries or the importance of preparation. Your worst heartbreak likely showed you something about what you actually need in a relationship. Your biggest failure almost certainly revealed something about your resilience or helped clarify your values in some way. You're getting the point now. These experiences become part of your internal guidance system, providing the context that makes your eventual successes meaningful. Take away the difficult memories, and you lose wisdom, emotional intelligence, and much more. The episode ends quietly, without grand transformations or sudden happiness. Mabel is still sad about Mermando. McGucket is still processing 30 years of recovered trauma. The pain hasn't disappeared. It's just been accepted as part of the story. Leading back to the central question, would we rather be comfortable or complete? The memory gun will always be tempting. The promise of forgetting will always whisper that life would be easier without certain experiences and memories. But the episode reminds us that easier doesn't always mean better, and that sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is to remember. Because at the end of the day, we are the sum of our experiences. All of them. Our painful memories don't define us, but they are part of what made us who we are. The real question isn't whether you can delete your memories. The real question is whether you'd want to delete the person those memories helped you become. And that means that we all have to learn lessons to shape who we are. And sometimes the most important ones are actually hidden in cartoons, like Jake's philosophies. If you're curious about those, make sure to check out our video on them. They're deeper than you might think.